Dean Cruz, esteemed faculty, families, my lovely new doctor friends. This is truly the thrill of a lifetime to stand before you today, and an absolute honor to speak on behalf of my classmates. I start this speech as we started medical school, on the topic of COVID. We've heard mentions of COVID today, and especially if you've attended previous graduations or will attend subsequent graduations, assuredly you will hear still more of it. It is the subtext for a generation of doctors and medical professionals. However, to paraphrase Bane from the 2012 Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, those other medical school classes merely adopted the dark. We were born in the darkness, molded by it. We didn't see the light until we were third-year medical students. My sincere apologies to Mr. Tom Hardy, but this is the picture I paint for you, the origin story of the class of 2024. Sitting in orientation in Lawson Hall in Carbondale, Illinois, eager new medical students, yearly leases signed, and then the shock. Told the Delta wave is peaking. We will have no white coat ceremony. All classes, clinical activities, anatomy, histology, these are all being moved virtual. And honestly, what a bummer. Seriously, we can call it what it is, call it what it was. It's an odd thing to be in close proximity to others and yet feel distant. Surely a ubiquitous experience among everyone here today during that period. But for us, this manifests as walking through the halls at Lindegren, giving masked waves through glass to classmates because of room restrictions, frequented you go, no you go over WebEx tutor groups, sitting across the screen from a standardized patient, spitting out physical exam maneuvers like a Sotheby's auctioneer to meet your encounter time limit. It's important to recognize where we started because part of the achievement today is predicated on the adversity overcome. Medical school alone is enough to warrant this celebration. Doing so in a pandemic certainly raises the stakes. And yet, if that were it for this class of 2024, among other things, simultaneous, the powers that be decided to make drastic changes in the testing and reporting of board testing, drastic changes to the residency application process. From a student's perspective, the feeling of unknown on top of unknown, to ask for advice and receive the constant caveat, we're not sure. We'll have to see how that plays out. You guys are kind of the guinea pigs on that one. More than this with an online education is a constant lingering, would we be ready? Are we missing out? Would we acquire requisite knowledge in this forced experiment? In reflection now, yes, of course we are ready. And yes, of course we have gained the requisite knowledge. And more than this, I can state now that we receive perhaps a little bit extra self-directed learning. For we had to be creative, collaborative. We had to acknowledge that there was no script to follow, that we could wallow or roll up our sleeves, that we possess in ourselves the ability to craft our own experiences, to meet our own goals. Principally, to become our own advocates, that there is no better lesson than to find you have agency despite difficult circumstance. I dwell on this to make the point, though I'm sure many of you here today, beaming in pride for your loved one sitting in front of me, and though that pride is great, I would argue it should be greater. As plainly as I can state, and as impossible as it may seem, you should be prouder for your loved one sitting here than whatever you feel right now. That is the triumph of these difficult 4 years. I transition here because, of course, our journey does not conclude here, that a graduation cap is a baton for the next leg of the race. And as I race on my 31st trip around the sun, though I'm not naive enough to think that I have wisdom, I think, frankly, I would be foolish not to think that I've learned a thing or two. I think a lot of life is about gaining competence, mastery in new skills, then application to others. And for us, this is the opportunity that we have to advocate for others, to apply our empathy of traversing difficult circumstances, that our patients need this desperately. We know this because we've met these patients. We've seen the data. That we know that outcomes change based on pre-existing conditions, that healthcare outcomes are worse for patients of specific race, gender, or sexual orientation. To see the data in our own town of Springfield, that life expectancy drastically differs by which part of town you grew up in, that we leave here with the echoes of the death of Earl Moore Jr., and how fickle trust is in the healthcare profession, yet the opportunity to view that trust not as a burden, but as a privilege. More than a class that knows this, more than being a class that knows this, I believe we are a class that gets it. And there's a distinction there. The difference between understanding existence of versus developing agency to address, to rectify, and feeling the wallow of insurmountability versus climbing the rungs of the ladder. That is where adversity pushes you, and that is where I believe adversity pushed us. So, as I move to conclude of my last words on a last day, I would be remiss not to speak about specific accomplishment. And surely, I could speak at length about this class's accomplishment in service, in charity, in research, in policy, and leadership. However, what I'm most proud about this class is a different kind of advocacy. The commitment to friendship, to cohesiveness as a class. And seriously, if you told me I'd ever be standing in front of 500 people talking about friendship, I would have called you crazy. But I'm here to say yes, I drink that Kool-Aid. Oh yeah. For in our circumstances, it would have been easy not to get to know each other. In fact, perhaps it would have been expected. Because medical school, more than an education, is an experience. That medicine, more than a service, is an experience. That culture defines whether these experiences are good or bad, interpersonal bonds, the needlepoint delineating joy in our profession or the slippery slope of burnout. This, I do believe, as corny as it sounds, friendship matters. So, if you'll humor me in these last 75 seconds, I'd love to share some memories about my friends. I'll always remember the yearly Super Bowl party at Jill's with Greg's chicken nuggets and Alexa's blueberry banana bread. If you know, you know. Settling the boundless land of Catan with Shri, Nikhil, and Jack Moore. Zumba with our queens, Kanisha and Mina. A baby shower for our new mom memes hosted by Morgan Engman and Leah. An end of first year party at Megan's with a little extra support afterwards from Kat and Mia. Relaying for life with Ellie Kelly and Nick Roth. A yearly derby party with Emily Dirks and Randy, laser tag ambushes with Gabrielle and Sarah, an ugly sweater party at Jenny's with Morgan K's Mojitos, volleyballing with Emily Mouchon, long laughs in Dr. Wilbur's lab with Nellie, the most supportive group me like with Denzel, and the best Instagram follow out there with Ted, the notorious Triple B, Bridget, Mommy, E. Poppy, Allison, and Ryan. For better or worse, whenever hearing Harry Styles, thinking Ashley Eggert, that's so whack, Blaine. The biggest Cardinal fan in this auditorium, and that includes you, Dean Cruz, and Steven. Garage darts with Matt Contreras and Keegan. A worthy adversary in a pie-eating contest, Evan. Homemade grilled pizzas with Cecily at Drew and Hunter Rollers. Holy with Sanskrita, Ashna, and Mina. Mina, you get 2 shout-outs today. Our reliable buckets on the court and Matt McClintock, Noah, Nick Porter, and reliable gym spots with Eddie and Ben. Camel walk and a desperate car jump on the Saints parking ramp. Where was I? Group me financial advice from Adrian. Disclaimer, not legally liable. ERG tutor groups debriefs with Jacqueline, Courtney, Abby, and Emma Fenner in a Halloween Mean Girls revival. Respectable efforts at trivia nights with Alex. Vertical drops on the dance floor with Caleb. Reese and near victory twice in a musical chairs adjacent game. Charcuterie for a murder mystery with Cassie. Mini cannolis with Morgan Surrey. Parth, who I will always be grateful, let me cut him in line. Racing in our final months to finish a 3-year-long board game with Jazz, Michael, and Logan. My co-captain throughout this class office, Peaches. After messaging the class Facebook page in search of a roommate, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times that Hunter Jones finally said yes. And later, Jack Witten becoming my landlord. I will get you April utilities soon, I promise. I fell in love with the most amazing person I know, Emma Johns. And some of our new recruits along the way, Taylor, Austin Carey, Neon Heaven, Sephra, Chala, Matt Woodbury. Finally, I will never forget how when our white coat ceremony was a casualty of COVID, not once, but twice, how our alumni delivered an experience we will never forget. I could not be more proud to join their ranks today. Thank you, and God bless.